I was picking out bedding for our wedding bed when my period hit out of nowhere. By the time I made it to the bathroom, there was already a huge, embarrassing stain on my pants.
Julian, can you bring me a change of clothes? I got my period.
Desperate, I called Julian for help. He clicked his tongue on the other end.
What kind of man goes out buying women's pants? That's
Mortified, I grabbed a random pair of men's sweatpants and changed into them. When I got back to the bedding store, he was testing out the display bed with Serena. He looked up and teased.
You act like nothing's wrong when you're on your period? Did you drink that custom wood-warming tea beforehand?
I thought about the thermos he'd given Serena and suddenly laughed. The wedding's off, I said, slow and deliberate.
Are you insane? It was just a question. Is calling off the engagement really necessary?
I glanced at the $9,090 custom-embroidered four-piece bedding set in Serena's hands, the one meant to symbolize eternal love, and felt exhausted. Yes, it is. When I came out of the bathroom, Julian and Serena were already inside the bedding store. They were lying side by side on the display bed with the delicate embroidery, and I instinctively hid behind a nearby counter. You two have amazing taste. This set is limited edition, only one in the entire country. The custom embroidery alone took a whole month to make. It's perfect for a wedding bed, symbolizes eternal love and everything. Serena didn't say anything, just ran her hand over the wedding quilt. Julian swiped his card without a second thought. While the saleswoman was processing the payment, he gently tucked a strand of hair behind Serena's ear. Serena shook her head repeatedly. I can't. I don't want to upset Chloe, and I don't want to keep burdening you. Besides, this color doesn't suit me anyway.
It suits you. She tried to hand the bag back to him, but he pushed it firmly into her arms.
Chloe's the most understanding person.
She'll be fine with it if I want to give you this. And if Adrian were still here, he'd be the one buying this for you. Let me do this for him, okay?
Julian kept trying to convince her, and I slipped quietly out of the store. I'd had my eye on this set for months. I'd begged Julian forever to find time to come pick it out with me, hoping it would bring us good luck for our marriage. But when he picked me up, Serena, his late brother's girlfriend, was sitting in the passenger seat. And I never thought that in the 5 minutes I was in the bathroom,
but he pushed
he'd give it
it
to her without
firmly
even
into
asking
her
me.
arm.
I stood in front of a bubble tea shop, crumpled up my shopping list, and threw it away. I chugged a full sugar drink, trying to wash away the bitter taste in my mouth. Just then, the colorful heart-shaped lights above the mall lit up, spelling out 2 names.
CEO Julian and his fiancé met right here in this mall. He hung all those 100 lights himself just to make her smile. A CEO who takes the time to do electrician work? That's the ultimate boyfriend material. I'd give up eating for a week to have someone like that.
I took a huge sip of tea at that, and a tapioca pearl went down the wrong pipe. I coughed so hard I couldn't breathe, and tears streamed down my face. A warm hand suddenly rested on the back of my neck, patting me gently with that familiar touch.
What's wrong? Why were you drinking so fast?
Julian's voice came from above me, with a hint of panic I almost didn't catch. I jerked away from his touch. The pearl finally slid down my throat, leaving a sharp, scratchy feeling behind. Julian didn't notice anything was wrong. He'd have a wrong iteration my sloused.
You're such a clutter, even as an adult.
He gently booped my nose and handed me a shopping bag.
I knew you weren't feeling well, so I had Serena picked out a bedding set for you. You never seem to get cramps when you're on your period. Do you drink that custom warming tea beforehand? Is calling off the engagement really necessary?
I froze. In that second, I realized he'd made that custom tea for Serena. Through the clear plastic, I could see the lotus vine embroidery on the bedring set. It was beautiful, but that harsh purple color made my eyes hurt. We'd been together for 7 years. He'd always treated me like a princess, and everyone said Julian was head over heels in love with me. That all changed 2 years ago, when Julian's twin brother Adrian died unexpectedly. On his deathbed, he made Julian promise to take care of his girlfriend Serena. Serena had a complete breakdown. She kept mistaking Julian for Adrian, crying and clinging to him. I was jealous, but I knew it was a terrible situation. I told myself to be mature, and hoped things would go back to normal once Serena got better. But 6 months later, when Serena was finally stable, Julian had already gotten used to taking care of her every need. His planner was filled with things he had to do for Adrian. June 5 by Serena, the artisanal focaccia from the burrata. Butter, remember that for Adrian. People started looking at me differently, and I couldn't tell anymore. Was he being nice to Serena just to keep his promise to his brother, or had his feelings changed? And today he'd given to his smiling eyes and slowly let go and embroider the shopping bag. It fell to the ground. As he bent down to pick it up, I said quietly, "We're breaking up." Julian smiles for a full 30 seconds. Then he laughed it off casually.
Serena gets really bad cramps, so I just asked out of habit, "Why are you being so dramatic? You know I never think before I speak. Stop acting like a child. Serena will make fun of you." Serena laughing at me.
Make fun of me? How much more of a joke can I be already? I forced a bitter smile and grabbed his hand. "Julian, why are you wearing Adrian's matching ring instead of our engagement ring?" Julian's eyes darted away. After a long silence, he mumbled guiltfully.
Yesterday was the anniversary of when Adrian and Serena started dating. She was upset.
I laughed and cut him off, my voice shaking. "She had another breakdown, so you had to take off our engagement ring again?" The word again hit him like a punch, and he exploded.
"You think this is easy for me? He was my twin brother. He asked me to take care of her. What was I supposed to do? Enough! It was just a question. Why are you blowing this out of proportion? I thought you were the understanding one."
I lost my mom when I was little. It was just me and my dad against the world. Dad worked all the time, so I learned early on to never cause trouble and keep my feelings to myself. When Julian and I first got together, he was fighting to take over the family business and landed a huge client. We pulled all-nighters for weeks to seal the deal. The representative took advantage of the moment to lean in, his hand brushing against my leg. I was terrified. I'd ruin everything for him, so I bit my tongue and said nothing. I ran out of the room and crashed right into Julian. He took one look at my face and knew something was wrong. When he forced me to tell him what happened, I burst into tears. He immediately stormed back in and punched the guy. Afterwards, I was worried we'd lose the contract and he'd get in trouble. But he just stared at me and yelled,
"Listen to me. If getting this job means you have to let people treat you like that, I don't want it. You never have to put up with anything when you're with me."
Rumors spread that he was going to be fired, but he secretly signed an even bigger international deal. I still remember the way he slammed that new contract down in front of me, his eyes shining with pride. Thinking about that now, I laughed out loud. How things have changed. Back then, he'd punch someone for making me uncomfortable. Now he makes me miserable every single day. How pathetic. My laugh made him nervous. He pulled me into his arms, his voice softening immediately.
"Chloe, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have yelled at you. I'll do anything you want. Just stop laughing like that and don't say we're breaking up, please."
He held me tight, and his eyes were filled with that same intense, pure love I'd always known. I closed my eyes, and against my better judgment, my heart softened. I got accepted to NYU. Serena's better now, right? Come to America with me. Let her get used to being on her own. But in that second, I saw Serena's reflection in his eyes. At the exact same time, he mumbled, "We'll talk about this at home," and walked straight past me. As he brushed by, I heard him sigh in relief. I pressed my lips together and didn't look back. I walked in the opposite direction. I never got to say I'm not waiting anymore. When I came out, I was holding an expedited passport application receipt. In 7 days, I'd have my passport and be on a plane to America. I was about to call a taxi when my phone sent me a security alert. Someone had opened my front door. My heart dropped. My hands shook as I pulled up the security camera feed. On the screen, Serena leaned against the front door, her arms around Julia. Her cheeks were flushed. Julian looked flustered. He carried her to the couch, his voice tight.
"Serena, you're drunk. Calm down."
But Serena paid no heed. She put her arms around his neck and leaned in close, her emotions running high. After a short while, Julian no longer held her back. He drew her nearer gently.
"Chloe."
I slammed the app shut. My finger brushed against our wedding photo, which was my phone background. We looked so happy in that photo. Now it just made me sick to my stomach. That night, I checked into a hotel. Suddenly, my stomach cramped bad. It felt like someone was squeezing my insides. I took some painkillers and passed out. I dreamed about the day Adrian died.
Chloe, don't leave me.
I'm here, Julian. I'm not going anywhere.
But when I woke up and remembered what I'd seen on the camera, I just sat there quietly for a minute, then got up and left. My footsteps echoed in the empty hotel room. I never looked back. I don't know why I got so cold. I wrapped the blanket tighter around me, but I couldn't shake the chill that had settled in my bones. I woke up shivering, my forehead burning hot. I had a terrible fever, so I struggled to call the front desk for medicine. In my daze, I heard the doorbell. I thought it was the front desk. But when I opened the door, I smelled that familiar what he was saying.
I'm here to take care of you.
So his words were muffled, like they were coming through water. Frustrated, I passed out completely. I woke up 2 days later. I recognized the room immediately. I was in Julia's house.
You're
My
awake?
brain was still foggy. I heard footsteps behind me, and then he pressed his forehead to check my temperature.
Chloe, your fever finally broke.
His warm breath hit my nose, and the intimacy made my skin crawl. Him kissing Serena flashed through my mind. My stomach twisted violently, and I felt like I was going to throw up. Julian panicked and tried to pick me up to take me to the doctor, but the second his hand touched my back, I threw up even harder. His hand froze midair. He looked nervous, and for some reason he called Serena on video chat, like he needed to prove he wasn't doing anything wrong.
Serena, Chloe's throwing up really bad. What should I do?
Oh no, that's terrible. You're so clumsy with me. I can't believe you're even worse at taking care of your own fiancé. Serena's voice came through the speaker. The camera shook, and then she looked at me gently. The images and sounds emanating from the phone screen shoved almost right against my noses, made me completely oblivious of the vomit stains on my collar. Don't worry, Chloe. I'm on my way. A wave of anger washed over me. I wiped my mouth with the back of my hand. Don't bother. I'm fine. Suddenly, there was a crash on the video. Serena said quickly, "It's nothing," and hung up. But Julian was already distracted. He brought me a bowl of porridge, then made an excuse about work and left in a hurry. I stared at the porridge for a long time, then finally picked up the spoon and ate it slowly. The rice was he'd even added a little salt to make it taste better, probably worried I wouldn't have an appetite. In 7 years together, this was the first time Julia had ever cooked for me, and it would be the last. I never would have guessed that the guy who never cooked at home had gotten so good at it. After I washed the bowl, I packed my things quietly. Everything that reminded me of Julian and our life together, I piled up in the corner of the balcony to burn. 2 hours later, I sat on the floor and watched as all our memories went up in flames. Finally, all that remained was the wedding invitation bearing our names. But that corner of ink, too, quickly vanished into the firelight until absolutely nothing was left. I smiled bitterly. Who knew 7 years of love could disappear in just a few minutes? At least I only had 4 more days until I could leave and start chasing my dreams. That night, I called the hotel to cancel our wedding reception. Julian texted me like usual, saying he wouldn't be home. I texted back, okay, and surprisingly, he called me.
"I'm sorry, I really can't leave right now. I promise I'll be home at 8 tomorrow with breakfast. Then we'll go see your dad and visit your mom."
I was too busy canceling all the wedding plans into care.
"Chloe!"
I rubbed my temples and sighed. Fine. He'd knelt at my mom's grave and promised to take care of me ever. Tomorrow, I'd tell him it was over right there, in front of both my parents. At least that way, our relationship would have a proper ending. The next morning at 7, I was packed and ready, sitting on the couch waiting. The clock struck 8, but the front door never opened. He didn't call until my dad was already texting me, asking where we were.
"Something came up last minute. Take a taxi to your dad's. I'll meet you there."
Okay. I nodded. This would actually be better. We could say goodbye properly. But Julian never showed up. Not even when the incense had burned all the way down. My eyes filled with tears. It felt like there was a heavy stone on my chest, making it hard to breathe.
Sweetheart, if you're not happy, come home. I can take care of you. I'll always be here for you.
As we were walking down the mountain, Julian finally showed up with Serena. Serena got out of the car with red eyes and apologized to me and my dad. I'm so sorry, Chloe, Uncle. I missed Adrian so much last night that I made Julian drive me to City C overnight. We thought we'd make it back on time, but we got stuck in a police checkpoint traffic jam. It was totally expected. If you're mad, yell at me, not Julian. I didn't mean to. Before I could say anything, she grabbed my wrist and pulled my hand towards her face. Then she covered her cheek and looked like she'd been slapped. I was completely confused. I was about to ask if she was okay when Julian shoved me hard. My back hit the street lamp, and it hurt.
What the hell is wrong with you?
His eyes were blazing. He pulled Serena behind him protectively.
If you're mad, take it out on me. How could you hit her?
I took a deep breath and tried to explain. But he didn't let me get a word in. He pointed his finger right in my face.
Last time, you threw a fit and threatened to call off the wedding just because I asked you a question. And now, just because we were a little late, you hit her? When did you become so unreasonable? If you're going to act like this, then don't contact me for a while. We'll talk about the wedding when you've calmed down.
Then he half-carried, half-dragged Serena to the passenger seat and drove off. The second his taillights disappear around the corner, I heard a loud thud behind me. Dad was so furious at Julian's words that he clutched his chest, gasping for air, and collapsed. I ran to him and helped him sit up, fumbling for my phone to call an ambulance. I suddenly remembered that after watching a video about heart attacks, I'd put emergency heart medication in Julian's house and his car. I called Julian immediately, my voice urgent and shaking. Julian, come back right now. My dad's having a heart attack. To my surprise, Serena's soft voice answered first. Julian, Chloe says her dad is hurt. Then I heard Julian's voice, full of disgust.
Ignore her. Her dad just had a full checkup last month. He's fine.
Julian! Julian! I was wrong. Everything was my fault. Take whoever you want, wherever you want. Do whatever you want. Just please come back. Just check on him. But Julian didn't care. He hung up on me without another word. The ambulance took forever to arrive. I knelt on the ground holding my dad, watching as his eyes started to glaze over. Suddenly, I heard our neighbor's voice behind me.
What's wrong with Robert? Heart medication? I have some. Honey, bring some water, quick.
After a chaotic few minutes, the neighbor managed to give Dad the medication, and he pulled through. 3 days later, Dad was stable and just needed rest. At his insistence, I got on the plane to America. As the plane doors closed, I got a text from Julian. I didn't reply. I just turned off my phone. Goodbye, Julian. I'm setting you free. We'll never see each other again. Shortly after takeoff, the girl sitting next to me started chatting. Hey, do you know who Julian Sterling is, the CEO of Sterling Group? He's so hot and totally devoted to his fiancée. You should have seen him carrying her on his back. It was so romantic. Look at this photo. The way they're looking at each other, total heart eyes. Aren't these photos amazing? The way he looks at her is like she hung the moon. And this one where he's carrying her, total boyfriend material. I looked at all the photos she'd taken, and all I felt was bitter irony. How stupid was I to not see how obvious it was that he was in love with her? If I'd seen it sooner, my dad never would have had that heart attack. Loving you hurt so bad, Julian. But no matter how much it hurts, I'm cutting you out of my life for good. When he got the phone as turned off message, he was confused and called again. It had been my birthday yesterday, but he'd forgotten and taken Serena to an amusement park instead. He'd thought his text would give me an excuse to make up, and he'd buy me a late birthday present to smooth things over. He'd even already picked out what present to get me. He never thought I'd just disappear. His temples started throbbing. He reached for a mint like he always did, but there was nothing there. He suddenly remembered that for years, whenever he was stressed and had a headache, I would make him lie down on the couch, put a mint in his mouth, and massage his head with the technique I'd learned just for him. He realized then that I hadn't been to his office in a very long time. He lit cigarette after cigarette, frustrated. Then his eyes fell on the photo frame on his desk, and he froze. It used to be a photo of just him and me, but now, somehow, Serena was in it too. For the first time, he noticed how sad I looked in that photo. Julian exhaled a cloud of smoke, and his mind drifted back to the night before. He'd been carrying Serena to the car, and she'd clung to his shirt, whispering,
Adrian, please don't leave me.
Julian's heart had softened, and he'd held her tighter.
I'm not going anywhere.
I promise, I'm not going anywhere.
But Serena hadn't stopped there. She'd pressed herself against his shoulder and asked,
Then don't marry Chloe. Marry me instead.
Julian had stopped dead in his tracks, his mind going completely blank. Serena looked up at him, her eyes filled with tears.
If you're going to pity me, then pity me all the way. Please,
Serena continued,
don't be Julian 1 minute and Adrian the next. I can't take it anymore, please.
Julian's eyes were dark. He didn't say anything, just carried her to the taxi stand, hailed a cab, and helped her in.
Don't overthink this. Go home and get some rest. I have work to do, so I won't ride with you.
Then he walked away quickly, like he was running away, and didn't even close the taxi door properly. In the taxi, Serena watched his retreating figure in the rearview mirror and cried her heart out. The cigarette burned his finger, snapping him back to reality. A look of confusion crossed his face. He didn't know what was wrong with him lately. He'd only ever wanted to take care of Serena for Adrian. How had he ended up sleeping with her and ruining his engagement? Then he thought about the phone call from me, saying my dad was hurt. A terrible feeling of dread washed over him. He couldn't sit still anymore. He grabbed his jacket and drove home as fast as he could. On the way, he made up his mind. He was Julian, and he would only ever be Julian, not Adrian. He'd been terrible to leave me and my dad at the cemetery like that. He needed to go home and apologize properly. When he pulled into the driveway, it was already dark. The security guard waved and smiled.
Haven't seen you in a while. Just got back from a business trip?
Yeah.
Julian smiled and nodded, but inside he was kicking himself. He should have come home sooner. As he got closer to the house, Julian looked up at the windows. The light that was always on for him when he came home late was off. His heart skipped a bolt. He parked the car quickly and ran up the stairs. The facial recognition lock, which always worked perfectly, kept failing. Julian wiped his face, took a deep breath, and typed in the passcode instead. The door finally opened. When he turned on the lights, the first thought that hit him was, it's so empty. He didn't have time to think. He called my name and ran through every room in the house looking for me, but the only answer was silence. Finally, he stood in the bedroom, calling my number over, only to get the same phone is turned off message. His eyes completely in horror. He finally realized why the house felt. Our wedding photo was gone from the nightstand. He spun around. The bathroom counter, which was always covered in my makeup and skincare products, was completely bare. His legs felt like jelly. He stumbled to the closet and pulled the doors open with shaking hands. That word again. Empty. The closet was completely empty. All the blood rushed to his heart. And he finally understood. His heart had known something was wrong long before his brain caught up. Everything that belonged to me, everything that belonged to us, was gone. He forced himself to calm down and called my dad. No answer. Julian couldn't take it anymore. He drove to my dad's house as fast as he could.
Chloe, I know you're in there. Please open the door. Let's talk face to face. Uncle, please open the door. Chloe and I just had a misunderstanding.
He knocked and begged for hours, but the door never opened. Julian refused to leave. He just sat down on the doorstep and waited. Just then, the neighbors next door, home from a wedding. They saw him and didn't even say hello, just tried to go inside their house. Julian frowned. When I was new, these neighbors, they were labor lady care of me all the time. Our balconies were connected by a little ladder so we could visit each other whenever.
Uncle, Auntie, can I use your balcony to get into Chloe's house, please?
The neighbor lady's pent-up anger exploded.
I should be yelling at you. You want to come into my house? In your dreams. Now you want to find Clue-Late.
Julian felt he'd been hit by a truck. He froze, his mouth opening and closing, but no fine in his chest and forced a terrible smile.
Oh, this is just a joke, right? They're still mad at me, so they told you to say—
The neighbor man scoffed.
A joke? I wish it was a joke. Robert almost died on the anniversary of his wife's death. He's still in the hospital. We all know where you were, with your brother's girlfriend. You can't have both, you selfish bastard.
Then he shoved Julian hard and slammed the door in his face. Julian's legs gave out, and he slid down the wall to the ground. After a long time, he forced himself to stand up and drove to the hospital, running every red light along the way. In the hospital room, my dad was reading with his glasses on. The second he saw Julian, his blood pressure shot through the roof. The nurse panicked and kicked Julian out before anything worse happened. Outside the room, Julian asked the doctor about my dad's condition. Then he dropped to his knees in the hallway and banged his head against the wall over and over. He was drowning in regret and terror, too overwhelmed to even move. When Serena called him, he didn't even look at the phone. He just hung up. He stayed there kneeling until the sun came up, then finally stood up and left. On the way home, Julian called his secretary. His voice was harny, like he'd been screaming.
Find out where Chloe is, now.
When he got home, the first thing he did was pull the security camera SD card to see when I'd left. But there was only one video on the card, the video of him and Serena kissing in the living room. It was my goodbye present to him. Julian flipped over his desk, smashed everything in his office, and slapped himself hard across the face multiple times. When Serena showed up, Julian was curled up on the floor, red-faced and surrounded by empty liquor bottles. She gasped and ran to help him up.
Julian, what's wrong? I heard Chloe is gone.
How did you get in here?
I added my fingerprint last time I was here. So Chloe is really gone. Does that mean you'll marry me now?
Julian heard the excitement in her voice, and his temples started throbbing again. The promises he'd made to take care of her, which had once felt like the right thing to do, now felt like a heavy weight on his chest.
It would be weird for me to just move in here after Chloe lived here for so long. Why don't you stay at my place for a few days? We can sell this house and buy a new one for our wedding. That embroidered bedding set we bought will be perfect for our wedding bed. It symbolizes eternal love, right? And after we get married, let's have 2 kids, a boy and a girl.
A wave of disgust washed over Julian. He couldn't even bring himself to drink the water she handed him.
Serena finally noticed something was wrong. Her face fell.
You didn't want Chloe to leave, did you? You don't want to marry me.
Julian was about to answer when his phone rang. It was his secretary. She'd found my flight information. Julian perked up immediately. He told his secretary to book him the next flight to New York, then stood up to get ready.
Chloe hated messes. He couldn't show up looking like a drunk mess.
You're leaving me? But you promised you'd take care of me forever.
Serena, I'm Julian. I'll never be Adrian. And the only person Julian loves is Chloe. I messed up and crossed a line. I'll still help you if you need anything, but we can only be family. Nothing more.
Julian, you're such a jerk. You didn't say that when you were kissing me. Now you say you love Chloe and we're just family? It's too late. You think she'll come back to you just because you go find her? Dream on. Chloe's father nearly died from anger because of you. You didn't even show up when he was in the emergency room. She will never forgive you.
Julian felt like he'd been punched in the gut.
How do you know about that? Chloe called me, didn't she? You hung up on her. Serena, how could you be so cruel?
Serena winced in pain and tried to pull away. Julian let go of her so hard she fell to the floor, coughing and crying. Julian didn't even glance at her. He grabbed her arm and dragged her out the front door, throwing her outside. He thinks I love him so much. How could I ever really leave him? If he just explains everything clearly and is sincere enough, I'll definitely forgive him. I walked out of the airport with my luggage. The sun was shining and a soft breeze was blowing. I raised my hand to shield my eyes. At that exact moment, a shadow fell over me.
Put this on if the sun is too bright. Long time no see, kiddo.
Liam, the son of our next-door neighbor, appeared out of nowhere. I took off his hat and put it on my head. He was smiling, but I could see the sadness and concern in his eyes. I suddenly remembered how Dad had been saying,
I wish Liam was here. He'd keep you company, and I wouldn't worry so much. You're too stubborn for your own good.
Tears started falling down my face without warning, one after another. I turned away quickly and tried to wipe them away, but I couldn't stop crying. Liam pulled me into a tight hug, and I felt him sigh in relief.
There we go. Just let it all out. Mom was saying to me yesterday that you haven't cried once since everything went down.
Did your mom make you come pick me up? I know how busy you are. Liam heard the sarcasm in my voice, but he just smiled and ruffled my hair gently.
Come on, kiddo. We can't park here for long.
After a long time, I finally stopped crying.
It's actually a good thing to be a little heartless sometimes.
I almost started crying again. I quickly looked out the window. The car fell silent, except for the hum of the engine. For the next few days, Liam showed up at my apartment every morning. He dragged me to his company to help out, calling it work-study. I knew what he was really doing. He didn't want me to be alone with my thoughts. So I went with him every day. Luckily, he knew me well, and he gave me tasks that I actually enjoyed and was good at. After just 2 days, I got used to having him around. I even started to like this new routine. Sometimes it felt like we were back in high school, when we could talk about anything. But there was one thing I couldn't bring myself to ask him. Every time I tried to ask why he'd disappeared for so many years, he'd just joke around and never give me a straight answer. Did you go and get yourself a girlfriend overseas? Why have you gone radio silent on me for so long? Then, one ordinary night, Julian showed up. I was laughing and stepping on Liam's shadow under the streetlight. Julian was standing under another streetlight nearby, his eyes filled with pain.
You came to America just to be with him?
Liam noticed how tense I was. He stepped in front of me protectively and smiled sarcastically at Julian.
What if I did? What's it to you?
Liam, you're such a pathetic loser, hanging around waiting for her. Chloe's just mad at me. Get lost.
Before Liam could answer, I spoke up. You're the one who needs to leave. We broke up. This is embarrassing, even for you. Julian was used to getting his way. He'd never seen me talk to him this before. He forgot that he was the one begging for me back, not the other way around.
Stop being so stubborn. I'm giving you a chance to make this right. Just come home with me.
I stepped back, away from his outstretched hand. Julian, we broke up. Julian pulled his hand back, looking confused.
I never agreed to break up.
I never gonna have him bear. You and me don't me.
I know you're mad about your dad, but I can explain. I didn't mean to not show up at the hospital. Serena...
I cut him off, fed up. Enough! We're not married, Julian. I don't need your permission to break up with you. Or it's just that you can't stand being the one who gets dumped. You have to be the one to end things, right? Julian thought I just hadn't heard him. He repeated desperately.
Chloe, listen to me. Serena hid the fact that your dad was hurt. If I'd known, I would have been there immediately.
You gave her the opportunity to do that, didn't you? Julian, you can't love two people at the same time. I'm leaving now, so you can take care of Serena like you've always wanted to. No more choosing. I won't be able to make it to your wedding, but congratulations, I hope you're happy together. When I didn't answer, he stepped forward and tried to pull me into his arms.
Talk all you want, but don't touch her.
Julian didn't care. He threw a punch at Liam. Liam blocked it and punched him back. Julian tried to grab him again, desperate. Liam blocked him again and grabbed his wrist, pinning him down. Julian hadn't slept in days, and he was too weak to fight back. He stumbled back against the wall. I walked up to him and said coldly, "Don't ever come here again." Then I took Liam's hand and we left. When we got home that night, I made Liam tell me the truth. He'd been in love with me for years. He'd planned to confess to me after college, but then he'd gone abroad for a year, and when he came back, I was already with Julian. He'd been heartbroken, so he'd left and never came back. That's why he'd disappeared for so long. My heart, which had felt dead for so long, started beating fast again. I didn't know if it was just gratitude or something more. Liam never pressured me. We just stayed friends, taking things slow. Meanwhile, Julian never went back home. He bought the apartment next door to mine and became a constant, unwanted presence in my life. Every day, he would knock on my door at the same time. He'd bring me hot milk for breakfast, soup for lunch, and a bouquet of roses every night after dinner. I never opened the door. The food would get thrown away by the cleaning lady, and the roses would just wilt on the doorstep. But Julian acted like he didn't notice. He just kept coming back every day. I was so fed up I was looking for a new apartment. Then one day, I heard someone crying outside my door. I opened the door and saw Serena on her knees. She said she was pregnant with Julian's baby and begged me to give him back to her. I didn't look at her. I looked past her, affectingly hoop behind her. I smiled numbly. Julian's face turned red with anger. He stared at Serena's stomach and shouted. I blinked in surprise at his outburst. Julian saw that as a sign of hope and—
Chloe, you blinked. You still love me, don't you? I'll take care of her, I promise. Everything will be back to normal.
Let go my hand away so hard that my wrist turned red. Grabbed a wet wipe and scrubbed my hand until the skin was raw. Then I looked up. Having a baby, you should marry her and be a family. Stop wasting both our time. Then I closed the door, tired of their drama.
You're crazy!
The door blocked out Serena's sobs, but I could still hear them yelling at each other outside. Her screams and his shouts mixed together into a terrible mess. I calmly called the police, then turned on the TV and watched my show, ignoring the chaos outside. 3 days later, Liam told me what had happened. Serena had snapped when Julian told her to get an abortion, and she had started hitting and biting him. Julian had pushed her away in self-defense, and she had lost the baby. The accident had damaged her uterus, and she would never be able to have children. Serena's family came to Julian and gave him two choices: marry Serena or go to jail for assault. He chose jail. He was sentenced to 3 years in prison. That afternoon, as I was leaving my apartment, a courier handed me an envelope. He said it was from Julian, passed along through several people. Inside the envelope was a single piece of paper. The writing was smudged, like it had gotten wet. Chloe, I'm going to pay for what I did. When I get out, will you marry me? I twirled the paper between my fingers for a second, then tore it in half easily. The pieces fell into the trash can, like they'd never existed. I grabbed my bag and went downstairs. Liam was waiting for me to go to the library. 3 years later, Liam and I brought our 1-year-old twins back to Australia to visit my mom's grave. Next to her grave, we saw 2 new headstones, Julian's and Serena's. Dad sighed and told me what had happened after we left.
Julian had been a model prisoner, trying to get early release. Then Serena somehow got a video of my wedding to Liam, and she brought it to the prison when she visited Julian. Julian had a complete breakdown when he saw it. He went crazy and started fighting with the other inmates, including a man who was serving a life sentence for murder. That night, the man killed him. When Serena found out Julian was dead, she left a suicide note, saying she wanted to be buried with him. Then she killed herself.
Dad didn't finish the sentence. He just patted my back gently. I held my baby daughter close and kissed her soft cheek. I didn't feel sad or even sorry. It was like hearing a story about strangers. After that, I talked to Dad about moving Mom's grave to a new place, far away from there. We planted sunflowers all around it, her favorite flower. The day we moved her grave was beautiful. The sky was blue and the clouds looked like cotton.